A CAPTCHA free trial isn't just a chance to see if an API key actually works. Honestly, if you treat it like that, you're setting your entire infrastructure up for failure. Instead, it's a strict, short window to prove whether your full workflow can run reliably under completely realistic conditions. In this explainer, we're going to look closely at data and guidelines provided by CAPTCHA AI to help you build a foolproof testing strategy.
So here's our playbook for this explainer. We're looking beyond that first ping, reframing the trial, running through a step-by-step testing checklist, covering common testing mistakes, doing a quick FAQ, and wrapping up with a production-ready takeaway. Let's just jump right in. Section 1. Beyond the first API ping. Okay, so many teams fall right into this trap we call the casual test. You know the drill. You sign up, you run a single API request, get a successful result, and check the box. Boom, done. But guys, it's literally like kicking the tires on a car and declaring it ready for the Indy 500. Production environments are totally different beasts. What you really need is the production test, verifying that your full workflows can actually run reliably, at scale, under realistic, messy conditions. Think about where that CAPTCHA solving step actually lives in your system. It's usually buried deep inside automated QA tests, critical internal tools, form automation, or maybe those vital data collection processes. If that single tiny step gets slow or hits an unsupported CAPTCHA type or isn't monitored right, the blast radius is absolutely massive. You're looking at backed up queues, endless retry loops, support tickets through the roof, and unexpectedly high infrastructure costs. Not fun. All right, Section 2. Reframing the trial. We really need to shift our mindset here. A trial is not some simple, leisurely demo. It's a high-stakes, time-boxed window meant to answer one massive question. Can this service actually support the workflows your team runs? And can it do it with enough visibility, speed, coverage, and predictable cost to justify relying on it in production? That is the gold standard right there. Every single thing you do during the trial phase should be geared toward answering that exact question. To see how this works in practice, let's look at the CAPTCHA AI free trial. They give you a strict 3-day window. 3 days. Like I said, this isn't a sandbox to play around in. It's a super focused time frame for uninterrupted, aggressive stress testing. You have exactly 72 hours to push this infrastructure to its absolute limit and see if it breaks. And during those 3 days, you're granted 5 concurrent solving threads, along with unlimited total solves. Now, why does that matter? Well, those 5 threads are crucial inputs for simulating real-world job handling. You aren't just testing one lonely task at a time. You're testing how the service handles multiple, overlapping requests hitting it all at once. Because let's face it, that's exactly how your production queue is going to behave. Moving on to Section 3, the trial testing checklist. Before you even think about hitting activate on that trial, you've got some prep work. Step 1. Define your real workflows. Please do not use random sample requests. They are totally useless here. Test the exact scripts your team actually uses. Step 2, list the exact CAPTCHA types those workflows are going to run into. CAPTCHA AI supports a ton of them. reCAPTCHA, Cloudflare Turnstile, Gtest, BLS, grid images, standard OCR. You've got to know exactly what you're targeting before you start. Now, to test effectively, you need explicit performance baselines. Check this out. Cloudflare Turnstile, that should solve in under 10 seconds with over 99.9% success. reCAPTCHA v2 usually takes under 60 seconds at a 99.5% success rate, and grid images process in literally under a second. During your trial, you absolutely must measure your actual latency against these exact benchmarks. No guessing allowed. Speed is great and all, but it leads us to arguably the most important metric of the whole shebang, the downstream acceptance rate. Listen, a solved CAPTCHA is entirely worthless if your downstream workflow just rejects it anyway. Just because the API returns a token doesn't mean your target server is actually going to accept it. You have to prove that the solved token lets your workflow proceed to the next step successfully. All right, armed with those benchmarks, it's time for the active testing phase. You need to aggressively run concurrent jobs using all 5 of those trial threads. Dig into the dashboard logs, monitor your submission history, look at failed attempts, and track that downstream acceptance rate meticulously. And here's a big one. Measure your retry behavior. What actually happens when you send a 6th concurrent request? You should see an error _ no slot available rejection. You want to trigger these errors now during the trial so you know exactly how your code handles queue pressure and retry loops. Okay, stress testing is done. Now for the post-trial actions. Step 1, Use your fresh data to estimate the post-trial thread capacity you'll need based on your peak traffic. CAPTCHA AI plans actually scale purely by concurrent threads, from 5 all the way up to 5,000, while keeping your actual solve volume unlimited. Step 2 is calculating that concurrent cost. And Step 3, create a rock-solid go, no-go scorecard and assign a specific owner to make that final rollout decision based on hard evidence.
Section 4. Common testing mistakes.
So, what are the traps that, frankly, lazy teams fall into time and time again? First off, testing just one easy sample. Don't do it. Second, ignoring queue pressure. If you don't test concurrency, your production system is absolutely going to bottleneck. Third, stopping at API solve success instead of measuring actual workflow acceptance. And finally, whatever you do, do not wait until after the trial is over to start thinking about cost and thread capacity.
Section 5. Quick free trial FAQ. Let's hit a few quick questions that really get to the heart of this entire explainer. Starting with, is one successful API request enough to validate a tool? The answer is an uncompromising no. Think about it. It only proves that the vendor's API is capable of responding. It provides absolutely zero proof that your complex, multi-step workflow is actually production-ready and resilient when it's under load. Next question. How should teams think about cost after the trial ends? This is where so many folks get tripped up by unpredictable billing structures. The crucial takeaway here is this. Estimate peak in-flight capture tasks and choose a plan based on expected concurrency, not only total monthly solve volume. Since CAPTCHA AI doesn't do per-solve fees, like a $15 a month basic plan just gives you 5 threads and unlimited solves, your cost modeling has to be based entirely on how many simultaneous tasks you need to run at your absolute peak.
Section 6. The production-ready takeaway.
A rigorous free trial should drastically reduce your production uncertainty. You've got to use that 3-day window to validate every single one of these factors under realistic conditions. I'm talking CAPTCHA type coverage, first solve latency, concurrency handling, dashboard log visibility, API retry behavior, downstream workflow acceptance, the quality of their support, and predictable cost planning. Only when you have cold, hard evidence for all of that are you truly ready for a production rollout. Which leaves us with one final question for you and your engineering team to chew on. Will your next free trial be treated as a simple, casual demo, or will you actually use it as a rigorous sandbox to prove full, unquestionable production readiness? Apply this playbook to your next integration, and I promise you'll build far more resilient systems. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. Happy testing!